Welcome on into Ring Chasing. Jack O'Rourke here alongside Ethan Shum in the middle box. As always, exciting little special guest episode today. We got Ryan Tyler, co-host of the Daily Dog Show on the Big Play Sports Network, as well as the producer for, I would have to imagine, basically every single recorded thing ever put out under the name FanDuel on the planet, right?
Pretty much, Jack. Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here with you guys. I like the picture you gave me back when I had my mustache. Maybe I need to grow that thing out.
When is that era returning? I mean, if you can't tell, me and Ethan are supporting Kyle Manzardo all season long, obviously. When are you going to grow in that lip luggage?
I think for me, it's more of a winter thing. And
Okay.
it's also I can't grow the connectors. So it's strictly mustache if I roll out the facial hair. It's the weather's nice, so I tend to shave it then. So maybe in the winter I'll bring it back. Or maybe I don't know, maybe I'll get weird this summer and roll it out.
See, I think there's nothing just better than a summer stash.
It's the Mandalorian weekend too.
Yeah, it is the Mandalorian weekend.
We're going out for the Mandalorian weekend because we're very pro Manzardo here.
Yeah, guards got a couple in a row now. I'm sure we can talk about them for 10 seconds whenever we want. But guys, biggest thing going on right now in Cleveland sports is your Cleveland Cavaliers. We're recording this right before game 2 because we are 3 of the smartest human beings you're ever going to come across in your whole entire lives. So we'll hit on game 1 for a little bit, guys, and kind of look, I guess, more forward at the whole series because the old adage goes, you're never in trouble till you lose at home. So even if the Cavs do lose tonight, this one not quite over yet. Ethan, I'll ask you first. Take me through game 1. Just kind of give me your thoughts, what you saw, and then we'll loop around. Ryan, hit you as well.
I mean, I thought it was an entertaining game. I think it was going to be relatively low scoring. I know both teams had gone to game 7 in their last series, and I thought coming in, I don't think we'd be in the high 120s to 130s. It'd be more of a grunge match. But it was entertaining. Obviously, Cavs end up losing by 10. Honestly, shocked that it's not by more. I think that's definitely the worst game that the Cavs played in this entirety of the playoffs. The turnovers were really bad. The shots were not falling. Ended up shooting 36% from 3. And we still only ended up losing by 10, which is a very good thing. I think there are a lot of very positive and very negative takeaways that you can have with this game. But curious to see what your guys' thoughts are on it first.
Ryan, what was the biggest thing that stuck out for you for game 1 that I guess you're looking for the Cavs to fix? If they don't tonight, then by the time we're home for game 3.
Yeah, I mean, right away it's the turnovers. James Harden can't turn the ball over that much. You're not going to win many games when you do. I mean, Ethan said it right. You look at the final score and they only lost by 10, which all things considered I thought was a positive sign. They pretty much lost that game in the first 12 minutes. Like after that, I was talking about it today on the Fontana show, that second quarter, third quarter, and really halfway through the fourth quarter, they were the better team. It's just you got behind so quickly, you couldn't really come back. And then I believe they tied it or brought it back within 1. But then the same issues that plagued them, the turnovers, allowing them to get second chance points off the glass, allowing them to get fast break opportunities off the turnovers, kind of haunted them late in that fourth quarter, and that's what ultimately gave the Pistons the edge to jump them and win the game. But I think if you're a Cavs fan, kind of, the solace in that loss is the fact that for a majority of the game, I thought the Cavs were the better team, right? Like there were points where the Cavs offense was flowing. It looked like they were calling plays and they were methodical. For the Pistons, it was more so, and there were times where their offense looked good too, but for the most part, at least in my eyes, it was they were just taking advantage of the Cavaliers' mistakes. If you're the Cavaliers, you clean that up, you box out, and Jared Allen can't get in foul trouble again. And we can have an own segment about Jared Allen, and he was amazing.
Oh, we're about to. Don't you worry.
He was phenomenal second half of Game 7, and he was a big part why the Cleveland Cavaliers are still playing basketball today. But got to be more impactful every single game, right? I think 3 points, 2 rebounds, or maybe it was vice versa, 3 rebounds, 2 points. Cavs lost that game because they beat themselves. And I think that's the good thing if you're a Cavs fan. And Jack, you said it, right? Like they didn't lose one at home. They lost one that they probably They lost one on the road to a team that was hungry, to a team that's young and full of energy. They clean up those mistakes, stop turning the ball over, get back to Cavs basketball, what makes them good. And I think you're in a good spot in this series still.
Yeah, Ethan, I think one thing that we hit on all the time is just talking about Jared Allen. So it's time to go back to your boy Jared Allen because no one gives a better litmus test in this town than you do on JA. So I want to hit back on what Ryan said for a second. You get to that point in the fourth quarter where you tie the game up. Obviously, JA takes the 3 personal fouls early. What is that, like 5 minutes into the game, maybe not even. He gets pigeon tossed to the bench for a couple of quarters, go take a nap, hang out, whatever, eat some pizza. Comes back in the game, go eat some pizza, right, Jared Allen? Right, Ethan. That's like a
great callback.
That's like a 10-year callback. Regardless, though, so you get to the point, you tie the game up, and Jalen Duren down low has 3 straight dunks. And part of that is because Evan Mobley can't even go up and give him one of those on the hand, right? How important do you guys think it is for the Cavs? I mean, to keep Jared Allen out there, because I think it's very evident that once you're getting Thomas Bryant in bigger stretches than you need to have TB out on the court, things don't look nearly as good for the big fella.
Yeah, I think his impact was definitely felt, and more importantly, his absence was felt in this game. He didn't even play the entirety of that second quarter. He was actually one of 2 Cavs players that ended up in the green and plus minus. So when he was out there was when we actually started to come back a little bit, just his spacing of the floor. And we talked about this last episode too. It's not always, how many rebounds he ends up in the stat sheet, but he is finding guys and boxing them out. And we have our guards and wings crashing the boards, taking those rebounds. So his stats aren't always going to show up like that because he's, getting in the paint and boxing out really well. I think overall with Jared Allen in this series, he matches up like him and Duren are almost the exact same player. They're not going to give you a lot outside. They're not going to give you a lot of perimeter shooting. It's going to be sitting in the dunker, waiting for an alley-oop, a bounce pass to go dunk, and then you're boxing out. And it's just constantly going to be that on both offense and defense or both sides. So like 2 guys who are the exact same, theoretically they'd cancel each other out. I don't think either of them are drastically better than the other. So having him down low, and I think he offers a little more physical presence than Mobley does. And Mobley doesn't like to be in the paint all game. He likes to, kick out and get those occasional jump shots as well. So like having to have Mobley guard Duren 7 games is not going to work. So you need Jared Allen to be able to go down low and have that physicality with him, because we saw it in Toronto. I know that they were more undersized than what Duren and the Pistons are, but Jared Allen's he's showing and he's proving this playoffs he wants to be the guy that's not the lights are too bright guy anymore. He wants to be the key guy for the Cavs. We saw in Game 7 against the Raptors, so he's going to be extremely important. And I think don't get in foul trouble. That game looks entirely different.
Ryan, I wanted to ask you, and Ethan too, I guess, who your guys' X factor is moving forward for the Cavs as we look at Game 2 and beyond. Because I think for me, mine's probably different than yours, so I'm going to go ahead and say mine real quick. I still think this is a James Harden ship, as dumb as that sounds. Like, I know it's Don's team. I know Don's the one you're going to rely on for 35 points when it comes down to it in those kind of games. But I do feel like this playoff run is like a James Harden, like choose your own adventure type book. Really, like it's like if he's not turning the ball over 5 times, like how much easier does that make things on Donovan? Like how much more is the ball getting worked down low? I think if like, and it's so hard to bank on playoff James Harden. We all know that, but if you're getting James Harden, let's say he's getting to the line 5 times a game. Like, James Harden's a staple getting down there to the charity stripe. If James Harden's getting to the line and let's say under 4 assists a game, or sorry, not assists, turnovers, I would love to know what the Cavs winning percentage since he got to Cleveland.
Yeah, I guess, can I give you 2? I mean, I think
that as many as you want. I got until 650.
I think the obvious one is Jared Allen, and for a plethora of reasons, especially looking at the matchup. Like, you look at what Jalen Duren does, his physicality, right? Like, just a second he dunks the ball, momentum shifted. He's such a big presence down low. And you need Jared Allen to kind of, I don't think you're going to stop Jalen Duren, but at least minimize him, right? Like neutralize him a little bit. And you saw when Jared Allen got off the floor and Thomas Bryant, enough of that. It's just not good news for the Cavaliers. And I hate to rag on Thomas Bryant, but he just looks slow out there, man. And I don't know who gave him the green light to shoot threes, but enough of that. And then just I think Max Strus. And I said this earlier today, like Donovan, obviously best player on the Cavaliers. I can't make an argument about that. But I think since Max Strus has come to Cleveland, like I think he's really been the most consistent playoff performer on this team. And that's on both ends. Offense, you know what you're getting. If he's hot, he's lighting it up from 3. That's great. And then the bonus is on the defensive side, right? Like when you're talking about this Cavaliers team and their Achilles heel has been their lack of intensity, their softness. It's never Max Strus, right? Like he is always diving on the floor for balls. He's willing to guard anybody, and he just brings that dog mentality to this team. And remember, that's a guy that's been to the NBA Finals. That's a guy who's been on the biggest stage in basketball. I think when he's on the floor, you just see kind of the Cavs play with a different intensity. They try to almost like pick up and play with the speed and intensity that Max Strus does. I think you even saw that in game 1, right? Like when he was on the floor, I felt like he was everywhere in that Toronto series. Like you get games from him where he's lighting it up with 20 plus points. And if he does that, you're hard pressed to find a game where the Cavs lose when he does that. But even just on the defensive side of the ball, I don't think he gets enough credit for the role that he plays. And especially given this regular season, how much time he missed, right? Like to come in and make that immediate impact. And as expected, you paid him to do that. He's a starter on this team, most lineups, unless it's Dean Wade. So I'll say Max Strus. Like he's the one dude I don't think we ever have to worry when he laces up and steps on that hardwood that he's given it his all.
Oh, the gas meter, the give a shit meter is always right up at the top with him. That is 100%. Ethan, who's your X factor for the Cavs?
So yeah, I mean, I agree with Ryan too. Strus is going to be mine, and I think from the Raptors series and even from what we saw game 1, he's kind of shaped how his play style is like a little differently. He's not the sharpshooter that he used to be. He's now more of an all around guy. He's getting in on rebounds, he's getting in assists, and he's kind of doing it all for the Cavs. And to kind of like emphasize on what Ryan was saying too. With Strus on the floor, we just push the ball more. We get out and run. We grab rebounds. We get out in transition. We run more. And when we're running more, it means we're getting shots off quicker and shorter shot clocks. Where we saw the Cavs sputter a lot in game 1 was when we were slowing it down. Harden and Donovan Mitchell were going one-on-one up top, holding the ball until 8 seconds, waiting for a high ball screen. And then either Harden was going downhill or Donovan was shooting a 3. But you get those rebounds, you get out and run, and that's the modern NBA. That's how all these successful teams are doing it. And like you look at OKC, Holmgren's getting that rebound, he's turning around, he's firing it to the closest guard or forward that he can, and they are getting out and running. I think Schroeder tries to do that a little bit as well, but mainly with Strus, like you can tell he is all the way down the court waiting for that ball. Would you believe me if and on James Harden, on your point, Jack, would you believe me if I told you, with all the crap that James Harden got from game 1, that he was 2 rebounds and 3 assists away from a triple-double?
No, but I mean, also, it's just so funny with him because he's one of those athletes, and like, I mean, I don't know, you rarely get a player this good in town in the first place, but it truly is just so you almost, and this sounds really dumb, guys. I know this sounds really, really dumb. You almost can't be mad when James Harden has a bad game because I think his play style is just so indicative of it going one way or another. And like, you kind of have to let him play his hero ball and his thing. And Ethan, I was going to say that too about those like slower possessions. I think it was a lot, really the third quarter too, especially where the Cavs just like kind of like meeting shit down a little bit.
Yeah.
The Harden and Mitchell back and forth, like where they'll just like dribble, screen, pass, dribble, and then back. It is the most like watching a power play in hockey when a team just won't shoot the fucking puck and it's just D to D, D to D, D to D, D to D. And then it's like, okay, like, hey, we're out of time. Someone put an okay shot up. Like, I don't know. I think you guys both hit the nail on the head on that.
I think too, Jack, like everybody talks about how Harden makes big men better around him. And without a doubt, I think that is true. But like
Dr. J.A.,
you saw it in game 1, Jared Allen going out with foul trouble. Like I think Jared Allen makes James Harden better as well. Like their high-low game is just so damn good. And that's why, like, originally I said my X factor was Jared Allen, right? Because he's your center, man. Like, he's got to be doing the dirty work. And sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. And I think he gets probably a little bit too much flack for that. Like, I think he didn't set himself up well with that Brights is too light. Like, that's a meme that's going to follow you for the rest of your career. And that's unfortunate. That's something you're going to have to get over. And, like, that, like, remember, it wasn't too long ago. Like, Jared Allen, when he got snubbed for that All-Star, like I don't know how he didn't make the All-Star team that year. I don't know if you guys remember that. Like he when he's on, man, this Cavs team is damn hard to beat. And it's just got to be more consistent. They're the most Jekyll and Hyde team. Second half of game 7, I know it's a small sample size, but they play like that. No team's beating them. You have a ticket to the NBA Finals to play the Oklahoma City Thunder. But unfortunately, sometimes they don't play like that. And I get it. Shots aren't always going to fall, but they just lose themselves and the offense just seems to flutter. I think a lot of that is when Jared Allen isn't on the floor.
Ethan, last thing I want to ask, well, actually, Ethan and Ryan. I mean, I'm just so used to me and Ethan running duos. We love running our duos. Ethan, I will ask you first though. Cavs in blank or Pistons in blank, if you so choose to go down that negative route on this Thursday, May 7th.
I will never go down that negative route, Jack. I will never go down that route. And I'm going to say Cavs in 7. So I think there's going to be a lot of back and forth this series. I think J.D. Bickerstaff might run Cade Cunningham into the ground because he played him 42 minutes in game 1. And the longer the series goes, you cannot have your best player playing 40 minutes. But I kind of wanted to stay on the Pistons with that a little bit because I know we talked a lot about the Cavs and what I kind of saw for them and with this series, especially in game 1, like Cade Cunningham did not have that good of a game. Like Jalen Duren also himself did not have that good of a game. He had a lot of momentum.
D-Rob banging him.
Big momentum dunks. And then also Tobias Harris, he got to his 20, but he also didn't have a great game either. So like their 3 best players didn't look that good, but their role players stepped up in a tremendous fashion. And like that was a perfect game to have them do that, which gives me a little bit of hope.
At home too, dude, in the playoffs, I feel, right?
Yeah, and that gives me a little bit of hope though that, you know, if next thing you know, that happens again, we look like crap, we lose by 10. Their best players didn't look very good either, but all their role players stepped up. What's the series going to look like when the role players don't step up and then we play good? You know, it's obviously going to be a whole different type of series and a whole different type of game. But I think with Cade and when it comes to like the best players on the floor, and this is the last point I want to make on this too, when it comes to like the best players on the floor in this series, at this very point in time, the Pistons have the best player on the floor. With this playoffs and how things have been, Cade is the best player on the floor. And as good as Donovan Mitchell can be at this very point in time, Cade is number 1. But I don't think it's too far-fetched to say that the Cavs have 2, 3, and maybe 4. And that's in Mitchell, Harden, and Mobley, and then maybe throw Duren in at 5.
I think it's like a Mobley and Duren are kind of competing right there. Yeah.
So like we see 1 seed, we see Pistons, and we've yet to lose a game at home. We've yet to win a game on the road. But you honestly have a better team. And I will truly stand on that. You have a better team than they do. They just happen to have a better best player. So how do we limit that best player like you did in game 1 and go on and try to extend this series as much as you can, get win on the road and truly make this a series? So that's why I'm going to stand on Cavs in 7.
You do have to win a game on the road. That is one very scary thing with this Cavs team. Ryan, how many games are you taking the Cavs in?
I'm going Cavs in 7 as well. You know, Ethan brought up the player rankings, right? Like it's Cade, and then it's kind of like you could say Donovan, James Harden, then Mobley, then maybe Duren. Like, and that was kind of the disappointing part of last year's season too. Like the way that it ended, because it's kind of felt like the same way with the Pacers. Like, and maybe Donovan was probably at that point in time, like, you know, number 1 above Tyrese Halliburton, but it was like Tyrese Halliburton. And then the Cavs probably had the next 2, 3 best players in that series. And obviously didn't matter because the Pacers ended up winning that one. I mean, for the Cavaliers, you hope a couple things. One, you don't turn the ball over that many times to get back to your brand of basketball. And then you hope that the thing that's plagued the Cavs in seasons past is the inexperience, right? Not ever being in that moment. It happens for the Detroit Pistons. Like, this is their first go around in this big moment, right? Like, Cade's never been in this spot. Duren's never been in this spot. And Mitchell's, you know, been in this spot many times, and he's trying to get past that. And you got guys like Strus who have been in NBA championships. You brought over James Harden for this exact scenario, even guys on the bench, Dennis Schroeder, right? Like, you brought guys over who have been in these moments to elevate your team when the pressure's at the highest. And they got J.B. Bickerstaff coaching. Like, if he beats the Cavaliers.
We got Kenny Atkinson coaching, though.
Right. So, like, I just think I'll put it this way. I think the Cavaliers are the better team. And I think the law of averages, right? Like, through a 7-game series, the better team is going to win. You hope the reasons that the Cavs lost last year don't come into fruition this year. And I just think if the Cavs lose to the Pistons, if game 1 was indicative of anything, it's more so because the Cavaliers beat themselves. And then if they do lose a series, then yeah, I mean, serious questions. You're the only team, I believe, in the second apron that can't get past the second round. You're the only team after this season they'll still be in the second apron. Like, things are going to change.
Maybe AJ depends.
I hope that doesn't happen, but I'll say I think Cavs in 7. I think they win tonight. Maybe Detroit takes one in Cleveland, but then I think they win again in Detroit, and then hopefully you can win one more in Cleveland, one more in Detroit, and just fingers crossed, Jack.
It is crazy that people on social media and what I've been seeing, like, they treat the Cavs like they're the 1 seed and the Pistons are the 4 seed.
Oh, 100%.
And people know that our roster, you know, on paper is better. Like, they know that we should be the better team. It's just that
I was shocked that we weren't favored to win the series.
I was too, Jack. I was surprised to see that as well.
Look at the free throws too. Sorry. Go ahead, Jay.
Oh, it's something very stupid. Jalen Duran, Peter Pan.
Cavs in 7.
There you go. Cavs in 5. Wow.
I don't know about that.
I don't know, but I do think there's gonna be. I will say this though. Obviously, we're recording pre-game 2. I think there's gonna be a team who rolls in this series, and I really hope it's us. Obviously, we're down 1-0, so it makes it tougher. But I still think that there's just something about this team where like if Don like Harden playoff failure after playoff failure, like Don, you've never even been in the conference finals. Like I think there's something about like catching your momentum and going in sports. Like Ethan, for me, the easiest liken I can think of is Jack Eichel in the Vegas Golden Knights.
Mhm.
Jack Eichel, labeled a loser his whole entire life, gets to Vegas. They miss the playoffs. Next year, he goes off, like goes crazy, point and a half per game, right? And it got to a point where like I don't think he scored in the first round, maybe. And then once he got going, like it was like, oh shit, like that player's going to take over and he's going to go win a championship because he's that damn good. Donovan Mitchell, like consistently talked about like what top 2, top 3 shooting guard in the sport. Like when are you going to get out of the second round? You know, like I truly do believe that if he breaks that glass ceiling, I think like it's just the flood's going to come through. It's like, wow, like he's playing loose. Like I think they're going to buzz if they. I really do think whoever wins tonight wins the series.
I mean, Jack, you kind of just inadvertently brought up a good point. Like
that's usually how I bring up good points. It's almost never on purpose.
And I've kind of always like had this. It's like, can you win a championship with your best player being Donovan Mitchell? I thought about that. I think it was last year, and I said no. And I don't know if I still don't know if you can. Like everybody's waiting for Evan Mobley to become.
Well, they better be ready to wait for another 30 friggin' years because I got bad news. I don't think Evan Mobley is the number 1 on a championship team either, and I think Donovan Mitchell probably is closer because I've seen Evan Mobley do the exact same thing for 5 years, much like our friend Stephen Kwan. Ethan, I'm getting very upset about Stephen Kwan, but we're not going to do that today.
And I'm not afraid to say, like, I still don't know and still don't think you can win a championship with Donovan Mitchell being your best player. And that's no shade at Donovan. Like you said, top 2, 3 shooting guard in the league, but like there's levels to it. And that's fine. Like you only get a certain X amount of superstars, like game-changing, playoff-changing, championship risers. And like I like to think of all the past championships, right? SGA won that one. Then before him, it was what? The Celtics. Before that, obviously Tatum and Brown. Then you have Jokic with the Nuggets, and then Curry, and then LeBron. Like, what's the last team to win a championship that didn't have like a absolute bona fide top?
Never, not in our lifetime. Because like even like Giannis is way better. Giannis from that Bucks team won way better than Donovan. Like.
There were a lot of question marks about Giannis that year, though, and Tatum was not looked as a glorified number 1 until he got his championship.
Jaylen Brown was better than Jason Tatum in the playoffs.
Ethan, that is a great point too. Is I think we do forget that as fans is like those guys weren't talked about this way until they solidified and got over the hump. You know, like how will we look back on, say theoretically the Cavs do it? People aren't going to remember we had these conversations about Donovan Mitchell two weeks before he won the championship, right? You know, like,
and that might be like Donovan Mitchell's biggest downfalls is, especially as Cavs fans, any Donovan Mitchell fan, you're sitting there waiting. You are waiting for that moment. Can I solidify you as a number 1? No, you haven't done anything yet for me to solidify you as a number 1. But I love watching you play basketball, and I'm rooting for you, and I want you to be a number 1. You need to show and solidify that. James Harden is a Hall of Famer. He was a number 1 for many years with the Rockets. Those teams never really ended up doing anything. Every team he went to after that never was looked at as number 1 ever again. And I don't want that to happen to Donovan Mitchell. And I don't want us to be stuck with a bunch of 2s and a bunch of 3s. And we need Donovan Mitchell to step up and be that number 1. He doesn't need to shoulder and carry the load all by himself, but be that number 1 like Tatum was, and come from out of the shadows and be all of a sudden top 5 NBA player.
Ethan, you made a great point there. You're just talking about waiting for a guy to just take over and be the number 1. Everyone's praying and dying for someone to take over and be number 1. It makes you think about the Cleveland Browns and the quarterback competition, Ethan, because there are 2 quarterbacks right now, and there is one that everyone is just praying will solidify himself as the number 1. Ethan, I want to ask you first about the Browns because Ryan and I are in a spot where, Ryan, cumulatively, how many times do you think we type, say, or think about Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders a day?
I mean, it's the talk of the town.
It's a lot. It's a whole lot. Ethan, As someone who doesn't have to dedicate every waking moment of their life to the quarterback battle that is Deshaun Watson versus Shedeur Sanders, where is your head at on it right now? Like what? First off, where is your, just as a normal, like, just because you're not, football's not your number one sport, right? You're a basketball fan first. You'd say, right?
I'd say MLB is baseball.
Yeah, you keep crazy tabs on baseball. I forgot about that. So as a more casual, like you're more like me with football than Ryan.
Point stands, though, yes.
Yes. Ryan's a really big football fan. Where is your head at right now on this quarterback battle? Because we're so just jaded where I think we need to go second.
Where my head immediately goes, and this isn't even anything with what's happening on the field or what either names are. The guy you're paying $44 million is going to be who's starting. And if he's healthy, he's going to be playing. And that's not to say that I'm a Deshaun Watson guy, nor do I think he's light years better than Shedeur Sanders is. But, I mean, what is an $88 million dead cap hit next year, $44 million, in the salary cap this year? Like, that guy is going to be the guy who they tread out. And it's sad because I don't like him. I don't think he's well liked by, most people. But it's very hard for me to see a year 2 quarterback in Shedeur Sanders who, didn't prove all that much. He wasn't given that much with an O-line and weapons to be convincingly as the number 1 coming into this year. Would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions if you disagree with me, because that's just where my head immediately goes to.
Ryan, I wanted to ask you down a little bit different road on the same highway with this question. You guys had Kellen Mond on the Daily Dogs today, former Browns quarterback, former A&M, right? I didn't make that up?
Yeah, A&M.
A&M, yes. Gig'em, or whatever they do up there, or down there, rather.
They do Gig'em, I think.
An interesting point he brought up, and he wasn't saying the Browns are trading Shedeur Sanders by any means or anything like that, but an interesting theoretical. As Ethan said, hey, you're paying a guy literally monopoly money, like more money than the three of us could ever even dream of. Yeah, he's probably going to get the first crack at quarterback. We can all understand that, whether he's the best. He could be the worst quarterback in the room. He probably would still get that first crack because of the money he's getting. Taylor Green, you don't draft a rookie when you already have 3 in the quarterback room to not even put him on the roster. That's what I mean. I think that was a great point by Kellen Mond. I think the kid's going to be around if you drafted him. Like, you're not just going to waste the 6th round pick and friggin' cut the guy. It's probably going to come down to that Shedeur Dillon battle. Ryan, let me ask you, because you know more than me. Is there any world where Shedeur Sanders is not on the Cleveland Browns roster week 1?
I mean, it's always a possibility. I mean, a team can fall in love with Shedeur, and I don't know what the asking price would be. But to your point of Taylor Green, right? Like, I mean, I thought it made sense to the Browns. Listen, it's a 6th round pick. You addressed all your needs. You take a dart throw with a guy with absurd athletic ability and obviously needs coached up, doesn't have, the greatest fundamentals. But, like, there's different things you can do with him than just having him be your starting quarterback, right? Like, I brought up this point as soon as they drafted him, right? Like, you don't have anybody on this roster for QB sneaks. You don't have anybody you want to implement a tush push. What better than a 6'4" beast of a quarterback to put in? Because you're not doing that with Shedeur, Dillon Gabriel, or certainly not injury-prone Deshaun Watson. And then things like scout teams. A guy like Taylor Green, what he could do on a scout team to get you prepared for maybe a guy like Lamar Jackson or some other running quarterback. Like, I think there's a multitude of reasons to have a guy like that on your roster and Taylor Green. And then obviously the greatest part is, what if you do hit on a lottery ticket? And I'm not going to pretend like Taylor Green, a 6th round pick, is going to somehow become the next Lamar Jackson or anything like that. But I think it was a fine pick to take that dart throw in the 6th round. I guess to go back to the original point, though, like this whole Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders debacle, and everybody says, well, you got to play him. He's making all this money, but why? You got to pay him the money regardless, even if he sits or plays. And I think you just play the best guy who gives you the best chance to win. And to me, that's Shedeur Sanders. And I'm not going to pretend like I think Shedeur Sanders is going to be the Browns' savior or even be the Browns' long-term quarterback for the next half decade. I don't think either of these guys are the answer. But to me, I would start Shedeur Sanders because I do think he gives you the best chance to win right away. I think, one, like, you saw flashes of it last year, and you certainly saw flashes of the turnovers. That simply can't happen. You're not going to win games with I think it was a 7 to 10 touchdown to interception ratio. And then the sacks, okay, whatever they are, what they are, you need to fix that. But I think people are underestimating how quickly an offense can get fixed. And when I say fixed for the Browns, it means palatable.
Competent,
right?
Yeah.
Because that's how bad the Browns offense was last year, right? Like, not only do you have these new weapons in Denzel, Casey Concepcion, not only do you have and I always say this, I don't think Andrew Berry fixed the offensive line because I haven't seen proof of it yet, but he certainly addressed it. I think Shador there's just, I don't think any reason not to play him because I can tell you this, Deshaun Watson's not good at football anymore. He's just not. Shador Sanders is good. If he's somehow amazing, guess what? You're paying a 5th-round rookie salary for a franchise quarterback. And if he stinks, you're in the same position you are now. The Browns aren't extending Deshaun Watson. They could go to the AFC Championship game. And I'll say this right now. I don't think they're extending Deshaun Watson.
Bro, as I was putting out the Kellen Mond clip,
people are going to call me crazy. If you clip that, people are going to say you're absolutely insane. You're not going to.
I don't disagree though.
Like you're not going to extend a quarterback that brought you to the AFC Championship. First of all, that's not going to happen. But like my point is like the way that this whole like your roster. The reason why I said you're never going to see Myles Garrett in a playoff game for the Cleveland Browns again. You're never going to see Nick Chubb. That obviously is not going to happen. And Denzel Ward was because of that Deshaun Watson, like the amount of draft capital that you lost. And I give Andrew Berry credit because he's done a phenomenal job of the draft last year. And at least on paper, the draft looks great this year. Like you are rebuilding back up a young, talented roster on both sides of the football. And it's unfortunate you don't have a quarterback that you can put in right now and be successful with, at least I don't think. But I think Shador Sanders has a shot to be pretty decent in a Todd Monken offense. Like I really do. And I'm taking the upside on Shador Sanders. I don't see any upside in a 30-year-old coming off 2 Achilles tears. And my thing for the Cleveland Browns this year, I want him to be fun. I want him to be entertaining. If I'm not going to win football games, let me have fun with it. And Shador Sanders, at the very least, is a fun quarterback. And you saw flashes of it against Tennessee. You saw flashes of it against the Raiders. That's my last memory of Shador Sanders. My last memory of Shador Sanders is back-to-back wins to end the season against division rivals. My last memory of Deshaun Watson is horrible quarterback play and just unfortunate for him, the Achilles tears. And you're 30 years old coming off 2 Achilles tears, man. Like, we just got to stop living in an imaginary world where Deshaun Watson can be good at football again because it's just not going to happen.
Dude, that's the thing I don't get. And Ethan, I want to ask you this because I think we're like being in media every day. It's a little bit different for us, like how we read, like what's going out or like what things are being said, if that makes sense. So Ethan, take me through Ethan, you are way smarter of a human being than I am in the first place. So I just need your logic on this, right? Jimmy Haslam comes out in his foghorn leghorn voice and swing and a miss, right? Like 0 for 3 on Deshaun Watson, right? Swing and a miss.
Yep.
Now we're at a point where, again, like the dog is like your dog's in the room, you're taking the blanket and you're putting it over its head, right? Like we're now at a point where we're being told that the rust is gone for the 9th straight year. The zip is back on the football. Nobody looks better in camp. You have Tony Grossi coming out and saying like, oh, like if the Browns don't start Shador, he needs to be the 3rd quarterback because how could you have that distraction as the 2nd quarterback? Are you taking a damn word that you hear out of one person, any person's mouth to be gospel about the Cleveland Browns at this moment in time? Because at least from where I'm at, I feel like this is a straight shit show, Ethan.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of Nathan Segura clips talking about how these guys have looked in camp as well. Yeah, and specifically talking about Deshaun Watson, I believe his words were, the spiral was tight, the shoulder issues are gone, and he looked quick. So that was good. And then his comments about Shador were, he looks bigger, he looks a little more filled out, and he's quicker with the ball, even though he's still patting the ball, which I'm by no means an anti-Shador guy. If it was my choice, I would have Shador as the QB1, especially going into week 1. He just gives you more hope and more optimism. It's just hard to think about it without a realistic opinion with how it is a business and how you're trying to pay these guys for their services as it is a business transaction covered in sports. Because you are giving this guy so much money, I feel like you're gonna have this like, skeleton in the closet where you got to get everything you can with this contract, and hopefully he gives you something. Because if he doesn't, then this will go, and it's probably one of the worst executive moves in the history of the NFL. So like I understand that completely. Like, and I understand like just because you're giving the money doesn't mean you have to start him. Like I agree. Like it should be Shador. I'm just more so thinking, when it comes to the skeleton in the closet, these guys aren't going to want to, go down in the history books as one of the worst executive decisions in the league. But as far as how the media goes and how I'm seeing everything, I'm hopeful and I'm optimistic with how this team is, and as I am every single year, because it's been almost 25 years of pain, and next year is going to be better than the year before. When it comes to quarterback, I don't know. Maybe we'll get there in training camp. I'm leaning towards Deshaun. I want it to be Shadur, but how the roster's filling out, elsewhere and otherwise, I'm loving when I'm hearing about everything with these guys. And Spencer Fano, he's a goofball, so that's an attitude.
Ryan, I just feel, and I've been on the 2027 quarterback class when people thought Arch was going out in 26. I'm not an Arch guy. You know that about me. But doesn't it just seem, and obviously I want Shador to work out. Don't get me wrong. There would make me nothing happier in the world than Deshaun's going to play his 4 games to start the year. We all know about. He'll throw a pick and then take himself out, and Shador will come in and win the starting job and start the next week. And
It's so Browns. It's so Browns.
That's exactly what's going to happen. He's going to play 4 games. He's played 19 games in 8 years with the Browns or some shit like that. Ryan, it seems so set up for maybe Shador is passable. Maybe Shador just doesn't quite do enough. And now you have that O-line. You have the studs. I mean, you talked about it on Daily Dogs this week, but how primed is this team to just draft a quarterback in 2027 after one more? I know, I'm not saying tank. I know people hate the word tank. I think you don't need to try to tank with this team. I think you might just win 6 or 7 games naturally.
Yeah. I mean, conspiracy theory, cue the conspiracy theory music, right? Maybe that's why you start Deshaun Watson. You just get the monkey off your back. You play him one more time. It's the last call, and then you're bad, and you draft a quarterback. But it's interesting because I think this team's way too talented to pick in the top 5, right? Even the top 10 again. There's no way you should be this bad. The defense is elite at times. It has its lapses, but your offensive line, you hope, is fixed. You completely revamp the wide receiver room. And to get back to your point of why they're set up so nicely is because you're having this influx of young talent on both sides of the football, something that the Cleveland Browns never had or didn't have recently because of that Deshaun Watson trade. Think about that. 3 years of first-round draft picks plus whatever else it was.
And we didn't nail anything after either.
That is so damaging to a franchise. You can sign the greatest free agents you want, but you can't build a team through that. Drafting young talent on cheap contracts is the only way to win football games in the NFL. And I think they are set up pretty nicely, right? And you talk about that 2027 draft class, it's supposedly be loaded, but again, Browns aren't going to be there to draft Arch Manning if he goes 1. Browns aren't going to be there to draft Dante Moore if he goes 2. Browns are going to be there 3 to draft, I don't know, Julian Sain, Lenore Sellers, Jaden Mayava, insert quarterback X, CJ Carr. How did I not talk about him? I don't think they're going to be there. And do they have the draft ammo to trade up to that? I don't think so. You only own your first for next year. You own your second for next year. I don't think that's going to be enough to covet to one of these teams to trade a top 3 draft pick unless for some reason it's maybe a Titans, right? They suck under Robert Saleh, and then they have Cam Ward who they feel comfortable with. They're willing to trade out. But there will be other teams. There's so many teams that need a quarterback next year. The Cleveland Browns aren't just automatically slated to get one of these top 5 guys because of how many teams are going to need one next season. And that's the unfortunate part, right? If I could guarantee we suck and we can luck our way into Arch, Lenoris, Dante, CJ Carr, I'd be okay with that. I would understand a year of bad football again, but that's where the Browns are, right? It's this limbo, at least I hope so, because I want the Browns to be good. But you're going to be a middle of the pack team because your defense is so good and you hope your offense is, like I said, palatable. But if you think the Browns are picking top 3 next year, I think you're sorely mistaken.
I honestly hope. I think everyone's goal for this year should be because it was literally 1 year before the Bills got Josh Allen that Tyrod took them to the playoffs, right? And they just drafted Josh in the back half of the first round.
No, Josh was a top 10 pick, I think.
Oh, was he?
I believe so.
Oh, I have a phone. I can Google that real quick.
While you're looking that up, Jack, I actually have 2 questions that I want to ask you guys.
Yeah.
One of the questions is a little more let me hear your honest opinions. The other one is a more fun one. And this can be quicker, this could be longer, whatever you want to be. Obviously, bringing in a new coach is a huge thing. And I think now more than ever in the NFL it's very much becoming kind of a coach league in a way. You want the young, smart coach, and Monken is the opposite of that. That's not to hate on Todd Monken. My question to you guys is, obviously, head coach is a multi-year plan. It's not just a 1-year plan, even though we judge them off of 1 year, sometimes half a year. on your scale of like 1 to 10, how much impact do you see Monken having this year? And just overall thoughts on how you think this team will be different with Monken as opposed to Stefanski.
Ryan, that's a question for you. That is so far above my pay grade, you wouldn't even believe it.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it has the potential to be much different. And again, like we start here, I'm not sure it can get much worse. Like you saw what, like that's the thing about Todd Monken, right? Like he's succeeded pretty much everywhere he goes in terms of being an offensive coordinator. And this, you can see Ruby in the background here.
Ruby.
Like Todd Monken, successful coordinator at Georgia. Todd Monken was part of that MVP season for Lamar Jackson. Like everywhere Todd Monken's gone, he's made it work. And the interesting part too is like he's made it work with different quarterbacks, right? Like he's made it work with Lamar Jackson. He made it work with Stetson Bennett going back to college, right? Like those two quarterbacks don't really have much in common, do they? Like he definitely is an offensive savant. And, you know, people said that about Kevin Stefanski too. And at a time it worked. But like, I think what the Cleveland Browns are building, and like you talk about guys, like I think it was Glenn Cook, the assistant GM, who came out and said when they drafted Casey Concepcion and Denzel Boston, he's like, Todd Monken knows what he wants, right? Like they went and identified guys that are going to work in Todd Monken's system. And I think they're going to pound the living hell out of the rock, right? Like these heavy tight end sets. You drafted to Fannin, not really your blocking tight end, but like I think you're going to see a lot of what the Ravens were successful with, right? Like you got a quarterback, and that's why I kind of like Shedeur too, because he's got that mobility, right? Like you're not getting that with Deshaun Watson. And again, I said like underestimate the amount that a offense can change in any given year when you're giving them more talented players, and the Cleveland Browns obviously did that through the draft, and then you bring in a new regime, right? Like I think of the Commanders, like how fast that flipped, and obviously last year wasn't a good example, but the year before that, right? Like you bring in Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury. Defense was great and offense was great. Now what are people going to say? Well, they had Jaden Daniels. The Browns don't have a Jaden Daniels. And I understand that, but we're not talking about going to the AFC Championship game. I think the Browns offense has a chance to be pretty damn good. And even if it's just average, like that's what we're talking about. Even if the Cleveland Browns offense is an average NFL offense, I think a lot of people would be happy with that considering what it was the last couple of years. But then it kind of stinks, right? Because you're going to win games. And I don't want to say it stinks to win games, but you're not going to be in that hunt for the Arch Mannings or the Dante Moores. And like you see these franchises that just live in purgatory in the middle, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are the biggest example of that. So like it almost goes back to what's better, being the Browns and, you know, having the opportunity to get a guy at the top of the draft that can change your franchise, or just consistently being well coached, well disciplined, tough smash mouth football, but you finish 10-8 or 10-7 every single year and you lose in the first round of the playoffs. Like I'd honestly rather say the Browns. Like it sucks because the lowers are much low and you don't really have the high highs, but if the Browns eventually do hit on that quarterback, and I don't know when that's going to be, like you in the NFL, it's like you got to suck to be good again, right? Like, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. That's in all sports. There's ebbs and flows of it. I just hope the Cleveland Browns, with these last two drafts and kind of just getting rid of this black cloud that has been Deshaun Watson for so long, like I hope they're in the right direction. And I think Andrew Berry has gotten a fair share of criticism, but I also think he deserves the praises for what he's done with this roster the last couple of years.
Yeah, Ethan, I'm going to go the exact opposite. I'm going to go doom and gloom because, you know, someone's always got to take the other side. I'm a tiny bit worried about Todd Monken, and I think it's just because everyone loves the coach. It's very easy to win the first off season as a head coach, right? Like you just got to come in, you got to say a couple hype things, you know, you take a cool picture, kiss a baby here and there. And that's nothing against Todd Monken. I hope Todd Monken is phenomenal, right? I'm just a bitter Kevin Stefanski fan. But I think ultimately the biggest thing that still scares me is that like immediately Kevin was the hottest opening or like the hottest head coach candidate like for new jobs the second he left like that. Like he was off the schneid like a week and a half later. Todd Monken is 60 years old, was never a head coach and never got a head coach interview besides the Browns when he got it right here, right? And again, that doesn't mean he's for sure going to be bad, obviously. It just like it's a little bit like the Maple Leafs just had that big GM search, Ethan, where they landed on the biggest dumbass in the whole entire world. And it's like, okay, like John Chayka got suspended by the league and then he hasn't even gotten to staple a paper in a front office in the last 4 years. Maybe there's a reason no one brings him in to do that. I don't know. I hope he's not just a great offensive coordinator, but there are some guys who are like, hey, I'm a great coordinator. I'm not like Wade Phillips. one of the greatest defensive coordinators of all time, not a head coach. I just hope
McDaniels.
Josh, both of them, every McDaniels is in that boat too. But no, I'm a little bit worried that because no one else has ever called him in. But I mean, what the hell do I know? I hope Todd Monken's awesome.
Monken, to me, he just already seems like he's a really easy guy to blame just because he is older and he just has that persona to him. Like,
is Todd not the most blamable name ever?
And he just has that look. He just has that look, and it's sad. And we got to give him give him some credit for where he is. But my next question was good. While Ryan was talking about being in the island of mid, it was making me realize, are the Guardians actually the Pittsburgh Steelers? I don't want to dive into that. I really don't want to think about that. So I'll just go to my next question. My next question is, what is your very bold take and assumption for the Browns this year? Now, this could be a player, and I'll go first with mine to kind of set the precedent, but I want you to really get bold. Like, I don't want it to be, don't play it safe. Like, and Jack, I know you love playing these type of games too, but just get really bold.
Oh, I don't need to convince me twice.
With mine, and I'm going to give you a little bit of evidence here, had over 700 receiving yards in his rookie year, led the Browns in receiving yards, missed one game, would have had more yards than Tyler Warren, who was drafted 14th overall, if he played one more game. I'm going to go with Harold Fannin gets 1,000+ receiving yards next year.
I love that.
And I think he's very complimentary on the field, especially with the route running. I know he fit very well in Stefanski's offense. I can't see it being much different because Monken had Andrews, and Andrews was cooking as well. I'm going to go with Harold Fannin gets 1,000+ receiving yards next year.
All right. I got one for you. I'm going to stay on the offensive side of the ball too.
Okay.
I think there's this like hot button thing where like whenever the draft happens, like there's like 3 big bullet points on every single player, and like the whole entire world just like hammers those points, and like just that's like all they care about. Like, I couldn't enjoy drafting Casey Concepcion for a millisecond before the draft. Oh, great, we drafted Corey Coleman again. Oh, the kid's been on our team for 2 fucking minutes, and the whole entire city's an asshole, right? Like, Casey Concepcion is there such thing as qualified in football, like in baseball? Like, you got to have a certain amount of plays to count, if that makes sense. Of qualified rookie receivers, of guys who are getting on the field enough. Casey Concepcion, dead last NFL rookies in drops as a rookie. He gets it. Concepcion works on the concentration a little bit, and we're back.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that. 0 drops is probably a little
0. I said the least. least.
Your point is hilarious on the drops, though, Jack. Is you're like, he drops two passes in the combo, and everybody thinks he can't catch, and then he's just like an absolute can, and it just makes no sense.
It's just, and why can't we just be happy about the receipt? I hate our fans.
Yeah.
I guess my bold take here, I don't know how bold this is, but I'll go. I think Quinshon Judkins has a monster year. I think he goes over 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns. Okay. I think he's capable of doing that. I think for instance, I think James Cook was the leading rusher last year. I think he had 1,600. I think they're going to pound the hell out of the football. I really, really do. I think Todd Monken is going to be playing some. And I think that's a big reason why you hire Todd Monken, right? Because he's familiar with the division. In this division, you got to run the hell out of the ball. I think the offensive line, obviously, we hope got much better. Again, I don't want to say fixed it, but they addressed it. And Quinshon Judkins, man, he looks like a special talent. And I'm not he's not the type of guy that's going to be a Jameer. He's not going to be a Bijan or even a Saquon Barkley, right? But between the tackles and when he gets outside that edge and he has that burst to him, and he's a hard man to bring down. I think they're going to pound the hell out of the football. So I'll go Quinshon Judkins, 1,200 yards, 12 touchdowns.
I'll give you a bonus one, too. Give me Rocket Sanders at least 3 touchdowns on the campaign. You want to know why? Because nobody loves 3 running backs like the Baltimore Ravens. So that your running back is going to get a touch every now and again.
To add to Ryan's point as well, I'd like to see a full, clean offseason from Judkins as well. I know he's coming back from injury, and that's not a great start with it. But he already looks like he's getting healthier and healthier by the day, but not jumping in, mid-season, and he still was very productive. So I mean, I can definitely see that myself. My extremely hot take, my second one as well, Jack, was going to be Myles Garrett breaks his own sack record, which is going to be another just crazy one.
I'll even double you up on it. I'll double you up on your double. How about this? Myles Garrett double breaks his own sack record. Browns win 5 games. No. We'll even say this. We'll say 8. We'll say they go 8-9 or whatever it is, right? We missed the playoffs. We'll say there's some locker room, whatever. And Myles Garrett has his annual trade request because he does it every single year, or he's unhappy every single year, right?
I mean, listen, it's not far fetched. They trade him at the deadline. It's really not. And again, you say, well, what value am I going to get that compared to what it would be in the off season? But again, I mean, when you're talking about that 2027 draft class, like if this is truly a
that's what I was going to say. You trade imagine Myles for the pick.
I mean, that's the easiest way to go get your franchise quarterback. And is it a risk? Yeah, of course it is. But listen, like we talk about, Myles Garrett, phenomenal player. Would love him to be here while you have that franchise quarterback. That's how you win championships, right? Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones. Like, yeah, that's the dream. But again, if I only had to pick one, if I could only have one, I'd rather have my franchise quarterback. So it's an interesting.
He's 10 years younger.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like it's definitely possible. You tell me Myles Garrett is in this roster next year, would not be shocked at all.
All right, guys. Any final thoughts?
What about The Land, the new show?
Oh, yeah. Oh, shit. Yeah. Okay. I'm so excited about this. Okay. So this was announced 3 weeks ago, and I've been chomping at the bit to talk about it, and I've not gotten the chance to, so I'm so excited. The Land on Hulu, starring William H. Macy and Christopher Maloney. I forget the third name now.
Chase Crawford.
So, Ethan, have you seen Shameless before? I know Ryan has.
I've seen like 3 episodes.
That's more than most people.
Shamelessly,
right?
Yes.
Shamelessly, you have. Absolutely. I'm so excited about this, not just because I love William H. Macy, but I guess where I want to go with this for you guys. Do you think that having a TV show about your team has like a different, maybe not significant, like this is a weird hot take. I think the Browns are about to get really, really popular nationally. Like, I think when this show comes out, like it's a good enough cast, like I think it's going to get like run nationally. Like, I think people will be like, oh my God, like they're fun. You know, like they've never been good. Like, people aren't going to abandon their fan base, but they'll be like, oh, like I'm going to pull for, like, we'll make up like 25% of the PR we lost for Deshaun. I'll say roughly, not all of it, like a little 25%. Do you guys have like, are you guys dumb enough like me where you just get excited over the fact that your team is going to be on a TV show?
Yeah. I mean, not like when draft day come out, like, you know, every Cleveland Browns fan was going to see that, and really every NFL fan, like, it's exciting. And especially for a team, or like if we're going to be bad, hell, let's make it Hollywood bad, right? Like, I think that's a lot of fun, and a star-studded cast. Like, I love Chase Crawford, the boys, people probably know him from, I go all the way back to, not afraid to admit it, I was a Gossip Girl fan. I thought he was tremendous. Nate Archibald, like, I'm excited. I'm definitely going to be tuned in. Like, I like, you mix football and movies and TV shows, like that. My 2 favorite things in the world might be, I know this is a TV show, but movies and football, and you combine it in my backyard, sign me up.
Yeah, this actually is tailor made for you, Ryan. Because I got a train going by. I don't know if you can hear that. Wow.
That means it's
Lane Thomas just went yard.
Lane Thomas.
Jack, that means it's coming my way soon.
What?
I hear it now. I hear it on out my window.
Oh, is it? Did it just hit you?
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking awesome, Ethan. What part of the show excites you the most, or is just having a show in general? I believe the only information we have on it is and this is just speculation, but the coach's name is Rourke, like ROARK, and the quarterback they selected on day 3 of the draft, whenever they take one, was also Rourke. So it's looking like a coach-son quarterback duo, quarterback-coach family duo. I can talk a little bit. And then William H. Macy is going to be Jimmy Haslam. I think this sounds incredible.
This is honestly awesome, because you're getting my raw reaction, because I had no idea that this show was existing until we just brought it up right now.
Oh, really?
I saw the clip, but I had no idea that this was actually like coming into like fruition. Like, I knew that they were filming a show, because they always do that. Like the Jake Gyllenhaal fighting scene when they had the UFC a couple years ago, like they filmed that live in an event. I saw that with the Browns, and I'm like, well, this is going to be somewhere. I'm not sure where this is going to be, but I actually and Chase Crawford, is it Chase Crawford? So I watched The Boys as well, so I actually like him too, and he's the deep in that. Weird cast though, because the dad from Shameless, he's the dad.
Yeah,
and that's a put on the spot. He's the dad, right? Like, he just gives off like he's kind of like a like a crackhead kind of character to me. So like if he's playing Jimmy Haslam, that's kind of crazy in a TV show. But I obviously am going to watch it. I think it's going to be exciting. We might have to do some reviews on this podcast about it.
We're gonna have to do a weekly watch. It will for sure be a weekly watch and then update. Okay, to get you guys out of here on this Major League or Draft Day, you can only keep one. One's got to go in the back of your head, never be watched again.
I mean, and I'm the biggest football fan in the world, but Major League, it's just a better movie.
Okay, good take. Great take.
I've never seen Major League. I've never seen it. Yeah, I've never seen it.
Dude, I'm driving over to your apartment right now. We're watching Major League.
I obviously I know a little bit about the lore, but I've never seen it. So I'm gonna go with Draft Day because I'm a big Costner guy, and David Putney's just a great name. So.
And rest in peace to Jogga Lake, by the way, which made a phenomenal appearance.
Yeah, dude.
For those that
Jogga Lake
were Jogga Lake adjacent.
Not to do a final topic for absolutely no reason that neither of you probably care about. Jogga Lake might have the greatest fall off in the history of the world from being like Ohio's premier park, like even over Cedar Point. Then it was like, whoa, like fucking Six Flags is gonna buy it, and then Six Flags bought it, and then it's like now it doesn't even exist. So like, how did we? I don't know how we got there.
P. Diddy's in Draft Day. Never mind.
I didn't know that. Is he really?
Isn't it? I think he's Bo Callahan's agent.
The Diddler?
Yeah, the Diddler. I think he's Bo Callahan.
In Didland?
Which I guess kind of makes a lot of sense, right? Like Bo Callahan, a shady dude. His agent's P. Diddy.
So real quick though. So just imagine being Diddy and you buy like those 1,000 bottles of Johnson & Johnson for Bo Callahan's birthday party, and then nobody shows up. Like,
yeah, what do you do with all of it?
I mean, you just gotta harbor them like P. Diddy did. Google
has Diddy and Chadwick Boseman right next to each other in the pictures. That just like that couldn't be further from.
That's like literally the Jesus and the devil on your shoulder.
That's synonyms and antonyms right next to each other. Oh my gosh!
All right, guys, that's all the time we got for Ring Chasing this week. We'll be back next week on Wednesday. We'll figure out what day we'll figure it out next week. Make sure you hashtag let him know. Make sure to go follow Ryan. I forgot to throw his username up on Twitter. It is at RyanTyler33. That is ingrained. That is branded in the back of my skull. Instagram, can I take a guess before I ask you?
Sure.
Okay. Is it a Ryan_Tyler?
It is.
Okay, and it's Ryan_. So that's perfect. Make sure to follow us at ringchasin_ on everything. Like, comment, and subscribe as always. Every single one of those three things is one less tin can we're talking into. So that means we're going to have some fun. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back.